So I don't pray very often, but I do read poetry, and I think of poetry as a kind of ritual practice. It is my form of prayer. I read particular poets more often than others. Obviously, my favorite, based on the frequency I find myself returning to his poems, is Walt Whitman, America's poet. Forever our poet laureate, I think you could say, safely. I wanted to read one of his poems and then maybe say a little bit about it. It's called Eidolon, which is a Greek word for image or phantom. I think embedded in this poem, it's only 3 pages long, is Whitman's understanding of the divine imagination, and his grasp of something that I think the 20th century philosopher, Gilles Deleuze, brings out with his understanding of difference, creative difference, and repetition. You'll see in Whitman's poem there's a great deal of repetition, and this talk of the Eidolon, of the image, reminds me a lot of Deleuze's understanding of the simulacrum, and the way that you know there is no pure repetition of the same, in nature or in mind, psyche. There is never repetition of the same. There is only ever repetition of the different. And so, whereas in a sort of two-world Platonic metaphysics, you have images which are sort of poor copies that imitate the true exemplars, the ideas. In the kind of universe that Deleuze is trying to depict and that Whitman sings through his poetry, images are no longer poor copies of ideal forms. They are the form itself, expressing itself creatively, in such a way that it had never been expressed before, so that an image isn't just an attempt to replicate some static, already existing idea that floats off in the sky, in heaven. This understanding of images now as incarnating ideas shows us that the ideas did not pre-exist their expression. So this is my sort of Deleuzean reading of Whitman, but let's see if you see, or hear rather, what I hear in Whitman's poem here. So this is called Eidolons. Whitman writes, I met a seer, passing the hues and objects of the world, the fields of art and learning, pleasure, sense, to glean eidolons. Put in thy chance, said he, no more the puzzling hour nor day, nor segments, parts, put first before the rest as light for all and entrancing song of all, that of eidolons. Ever the dim beginning, ever the growth, the rounding of the circle, ever the summit and the merge at last, to surely start again, eidolons, eidolons. Ever the mutable, ever materials, changing, crumbling, recohering, ever the ateliers, the factories divine, issuing eidolons. Lo, I or you, or woman, man or state, known or unknown, we seeming solid wealth, strength, beauty build, but really build eidolons. The ostent evanescent, the substance of an artist's mood or savant's studies long, or warriors, martyrs, heroes' toils to fashion his eidolon. Of every human life, the units gathered, posted, not a thought, emotion, deed left out, the whole or large or small summed, added up in its eidolon. The old urge, based on the ancient principles, lo, newer, higher principles from science and the modern still impelled, the old, old urge, eidolons. The present now and here, America's busy, teeming, intricate whirl of aggregate and segregate, for only thence releasing today's eidolons. These with the past, of vanished lands, of all the reigns of kings across the sea, old conquerors, old campaigns, old sailors' voyages, joining eidolons. Densities, growth, facades, strata of mountains, soils, rocks, giant trees, far born, far dying, living long, to leave eidolons everlasting. Exalt, rapt, ecstatic, the visible but their womb of birth, of orbic tendencies to shape and shape and shape the mighty earth eidolon. All space, all time, the stars, the terrible perturbations of the suns, swelling, collapsing, ending, serving their longer, shorter use, filled with eidolons only. The noiseless myriads, the infinite oceans where the rivers empty, the separate, countless free identities, like eyesight, the true realities, eidolons. Not this the world, not these the universes, they the universes, purport and end, ever the permanent life of life, eidolons, eidolons. Beyond thy lectures, learned professor, beyond thy telescope or spectroscope, observer keen, beyond all mathematics, beyond the doctor's surgery, anatomy, beyond the chemist with his chemistry, the entities of entities, eidolons. Unfixed yet fixed, ever shall be and ever have been and are, sweeping the present to the infinite future, eidolons, eidolons, eidolons. The prophet and the bard shall yet maintain themselves in higher stages yet, shall mediate to the modern, to democracy, interpret yet to them God and eidolons. And thee, my soul, joys, ceaseless exercises, exaltations, thy yearning amply fed, at last prepared to meet thy mates, eidolons. Thy body permanent, the body lurking there within thy body, the only purport of the form thou art, the real I myself, an image, an eidolon. Thy very songs not in thy songs, no special strains to sing, none for itself, but from the whole resulting, rising at last and floating, a round, full-orbed eidolon. So, there you go. That's Whitman on eidolons, images, imagination as the differential repetition, not of the same, but of the unique, the singular, the ever-original, that cannot be copied. Hope that was fun for you.